welcome to Two Guys Garage. Now we're back with the hot rod BMW M3 project.
I hope you came hungry today because we got a full motorhead buffet. Exhaust, engine trans going in. Oh, suspension, we got it all.
We got it all, the whole underside of this car. We're gonna try to get it on the ground today, so stick around. Hey, welcome to my world. It's a little bit crazy, so you might want to hang on. What we're starting with is a 1990 BMW M3. Now basically it's a homologated race car. BMW raced, over in Europe and all the World Cup series, dominated for years. It's one of the most winning chassis and vehicles that's ever been raced. Now would that be enough for me? You'd think so, but I always want a little bit more, and eventually trying to get a little bit more, I just went all the way. So I'm taking a 4-cylinder car, 200 horsepower here in the States, just under 2,750 pounds, give or take, a great combination, super light, really good handling, but I just couldn't stop there. So what I do, I rip it out, I'm grafting in a V8. Now you can imagine, it's gonna change a lot of stuff. So I gotta get a lot of structure in here. So what I did is I've grafted in frame rails, I basically channeled the car, tied them into the rockers, make the car nice and stiff. I've got basically frame rail connectors, once again bolted to the side on the rockers. This ties the whole rear crossmember together, the rear diff, the rear suspension. I'm going to work my way forward. I got my fuel system just about done. I've got my fuel tank filled basically with a big 600 horsepower fuel system. As we work our way up, you can see these stringers tie all the structure into my subframe. Now eventually we're going to box these in. That's going to be a nice load path right up here to the front suspension.
It looks killer, man. You did it. It looks perfectly factory.
Yeah, well, you can tell I had to cut out just about everything in here to fit this big trans and this big engine.
Oh, yeah.
So all this is custom, and it is tight.
Yeah, and what's cool, 6.2 liter V8, 500 horsepower. You're basically putting 2 banks of what it used to have, two 2 liters in here. And but because it's aluminum block versus the steel block that it originally had, the weight stays about the same. Then you get the Tremec trans with the Liberty's gears in there, the McLeod clutch. Oh my man.
Just ready to send some power down to the back. So what we're going to do is I've done a lot of work, but I've got a lot of unfinished projects. We're going to get a lot of this mocked back up in the car, and we can finish a lot of those. So follow along with the build. It's going to be fun. Obviously be careful because it's like...
I've got plenty of room up here.
Yeah, let's go forward.
Stainless steel spaghetti. Tasty.
Yeah, it's part of the smorgasbord today. Now, it's a V8 going in a 4-cylinder car, so you can imagine we had to make a lot of provisions for things like the transmission. Over here, we've got provision for the steering shaft to slide right through. That's what it takes to get a header and keep the performance, is to get a little creative.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, if you look down at the rack, this is a stock rack, so you're going to get that BMW M3 feel. And here we've got Lincoln shock absorber type motor mounts out of a different car. So those look like they'll really take the vibrations really nice, be a similar size, and should fit really good. So let me feed these in.
Now the recipe is pretty precise. You've got to leave the engine dangling and feed the headers up. And you can see if we follow the right procedure, it's not so bad, but you get it out of order and things can get haywire pretty quick. I got one of these bolts started, and I get the other one. We're just going to mock up today, so I don't really need my gaskets. And you can see some of the other things going on in the engine compartment. Now I'm going to end up making my own structural, strut power brace. And instead of just tying the sides together, this is the start of where it's going to tie into the cowl. So we're actually going to tie this way, get this all connected, and you saw those frame rail connections. That's going to move it, the loads all the way back to the back. Now we got some covers here. You'll never see this, but this is the structure underneath. Now what's cool, this is kind of a modern car. It's a 1990. We actually had ABS brakes. So I've got my ABS module here. I've still got the brain and the wiring. So even though I do some brake mods, this will account for it. And I got ABS brakes and a 500 horsepower hot rod.
Dude, look at that, man. Your sheet metal skills are getting mad. Look at those things. You're rocking them out. Look at this cover.
Well, I've been hanging out with you long enough. I've been taking notes.
D-gas tank. Look at that thing. That is amazing. Power steering.
Yeah, made my own power steering tank. Dude. I just wanted something kind of unique. Something I could have fun making.
Man, check out these lines on the pump over there.
Yeah, well, what I wanted to do, you know, back here, this is the stock panel. It hides a lot of wiring. And I thought I'd carry that theme across and make the engine look like it kind of flows. You can see I kind of followed the gaps a little bit. And what's nice with these covers, you know, eventually I can paint them and whatnot, put my own logos on. Yeah. But I can feed all the wiring through here, and I can pass all the wiring back and forth to the fuse box. Yeah. So everything stays nice and clean and uncluttered. Now this, you can imagine, you know, a 4-cylinder engine here, I had plenty of room for a, you know, vacuum booster. Right. But not anymore.
Well, I tell you, it looks factory. I mean, it fits perfectly. You know, you've got all your lines routed through the wheel wells, so it looks like it's really clean. Yeah. And I tell you, you didn't have a lot of room to work, so.
No, it's really tight everywhere, and it actually breathes a lot more than when I started, because, you know, this is a combination of a 1999 and 2000 Mustang Cobra Hydro Boost components that I had to orient just to get it to slide in, and then you can see the sort of snakes of plumbing, you know, and that's going to be my Hydro Boost to feed my power brakes. You know, my power steering pump feeds that, and then ties in with my ABS.
Well, that's what's fun, you know, creative engineering, artistic engineering, making it look cool, making it work right. Yeah. You did a good job.
Well, the cooling pack's kind of up next, so that's something I got to fit right down in here, and I started running, you know, through my heater core up inside, so my heater core flows through here. It meets up with this degas tank, so that's going to feed the cooling system. And you know, I just got to keep going from there.
Well, let's get it on the ground. I want to get, we need to get some suspension pieces under.
I want to get
some wheels.
On the wheels. Yep.
Hello.
Get it rolling.
All right, let's do it.
Stick around.
This segment of Two Guys Garage is brought to you by Waterloo Industries, storage and organization. Experience life uncluttered.
Welcome back. All right, we're here on Byrd's Bmw M3 project, and we've got the engine and trans in. And now we're working our way to the front suspension. Now, these cars are great, man. There's a lot of those models. And where I live in Atlanta, Road Atlanta has a lot of these dudes. There are clubs, groups you can get into. And whew, I tell you, look at that suspension piece.
Yeah, no, the suspension, I guess, was a real big decision maker for me because I wanted this to be a track car. I want to go out and I want to beat just the tar out of it. But I love taking road trips. I love driving every day, and I wanted something I could do kind of both, and that's really difficult. You end up making these big trade-offs, and I really didn't want to. So, you know, I really thought about the suspension, and normally you have to make things a lot tighter and stiffer, and then you got a lot of harshness, vibration, and things when you're on the, you know, on the street.
Sure.
So, you know, after talking to Bimmer World for a while, they gave me a lot of good insight on how to get, you know, the balance of what I wanted to do on my project, and the starting point is the AST. So these are a monotube design versus a twin tube. You know, most cars are all going to have a twin tube design, and what that does is give you a bang for buck, reasonable ride, but it's not going to give you, you know, one, when you pound on them, you're going to get a lot of frothing. You can get fade, kind of like if you had air in your brakes. But a monotube is a bigger piston. You can get better valving in it. It's got remote reservoirs, high pressure nitrogen, and it gives you adjustment. So basically, you know, with the coilovers and the adjustment, you know, on the shock, I can lighten this thing up. I can change the ride height. So if I want to lower on the track, if I want to get over those potholes. Yeah. And I've got low speed, high speed compression. So whether it's little imperfections or if I got big bumps, I can control those. And I got rebound. Yep. So this is an awesome way to have all of it, full adjustability with no compromises.
And it weighs nothing.
Yeah. Look at the quality. Nothing. I mean, just really aircraft quality machining, really nice pieces, adjustable camber up top. Yep. A great way to go out there and have some fun. Yeah, you can tell we've got some sway bars here. Obviously, we're going to tighten up, you know, the body roll. Sure. And with those sway bars, we've got power flex. A really nice way to compromise between super hard stuff. Right. And
well, the old rubber, of course, is never good. Yeah. It wears. It's not going to last. Polyurethane is going to give you a nice tight feel, and it'll last for a really long time.
And what's great is it'll be that tight feel, but it's not going to transfer, you know, all these loads. Maybe a little bit. Yeah. But a great compromise on the performance you get for just a little bit of, you know, harshness that you're going to add. Yeah. So
we'll talk about these some more. So let's go ahead and kind of as we put them in. Yeah. So let's go ahead and get started. So we need to start with the front struts, right?
Yep. Okay. So get that stuff bolted in. Okay. And work our way back. Okay. Now we're going to start with the lower control arm. This is actually the factory BMW M3 part. The regular 3 Series had a steel arm. Now it's kind of an A arm, but really looks more like, you know, an L. But anyway, it's kind of a neat design. It's a strut system. But this is my inner ball joint, my outer ball joint. Now if you think about where the loads are coming from, if I'm cornering, I'm going to put a lot of side loads. I got a hard ball mount here, I've got a hard ball mount there. I'm going to be really stiff in cornering, which is kind of neat. But if I'm going to hit like cracks in the pavement, uneven surfaces, I'm going to hit my tire and kind of load this way. So what BMW did, it's kind of interesting, is they used the soft point on the backside to kind of control some of that harshness. Well, I want to change a little bit of my caster, and I want to stiffen this up a little bit because it is a little bit too soft. So here's a great little part, BW Sport. It's their track cab, and it's real easy to install. I just pop the old bushing off. Now I can mount that guy up in there, and ready to start putting my strut on.
All right, you about ready for the strut?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, ball joint mount goes right here. That's easy. Rack and pinion grabs the front. Piece of cake, I'll feed that up to you.
Okay, get this reservoir and my ratchet.
Now there's just 3 bolts that come in through the top. Normal strut style. And if you look next to this thing, Byrd actually had to run the fuel line through the wheel well in order to get the space. It's pretty cool.
All right, I'm going to run these bolts down. We'll get this front strut on, and we're going to take a break. And we'll come back. More suspension goodies.
This segment of Two Guys Garage is brought to you by Satisfied Brake Products, North America's leading independent manufacturer of friction technologies. Look to Satisfied for all of your stopping needs.
Welcome back. Okay, working ourselves to the rear. We've got our sway bar here. This thing is really nice. Got a few key features. Polyurethane bushing. We're working to our little bracket that holds it. Now normally, stock, this would have a little tab. As this thing wears, it used to kind of pop itself off and wear, and it would be loose. It also has a second mount up top, so you drill a couple of holes, bring in a couple of studs from the top, really braces it in there nice, and that'll be solid. So if you look at the ends, these will attach, and a nice thing about it's got an adjustment, so you can adjust how much sway you want, how much push you want out of the corner, and it's also got a high rate of deflection. That gives you a lot of room so it won't bind. Some of these sway bars, the cheap sway bars you buy, they'll want to bind on you.
Yeah, so a nice tight system, fully adjustable on the rear. It's a rear control arm or trailing arm. It's kind of interesting. You can see it's sort of a clamshell. So you get nice big box sections there. Here's the spring perch. You know, you got your hub assembly out here. Now we put the PowerFlex bushings in here as well. So we've got one side in, we've got one left to do, which we'll cover. And you can see we've got them in, this is our rear cross member. That's going to tighten up everything in the back really nice. The trailing arms swing back like this, so that's the motion of those. And the diff, actually the nose mounts up under here, and we've got 2 ears on the back here that mount into the frame. So we can get that going. Let me get this last bushing set in here, and we'll be ready to start bolting this together.
Keep coming up. That diff cover is nice. That's stock?
No, that's actually a Z3 Roadster cover. It's got the vented fins down here to keep the diff cool. And then I added the second ear over there just to kind of counteract the torque. Right about there. Let me grab some of these fasteners.
Okay, I'll hold it.
And we got the diff rebuilt. I sent it to Bimmer World, and they were able to basically rebuild the diff as strong as you can make it. I mean, this is the stock M3 diff, and I'm sending a lot of power to them. Now it's small, and I know it's a little bit scary, but Dan at Diffs Online, he builds the best in the world. He builds them for all the BMW racers. He's putting the strongest gear set in there, 373. He's going to double up the clutches, and he's setting them up so that I got a nice entry in the corner and a nice exit for the most grip. And I'm going to see how hard I can spank this thing and try not to hurt it. So we got a couple more bolts and this one here. And we got this thing just about bolted in. Then we can hang our trailing arms on and throw our axles through. All right, now just like the front struts, the rear shock is a monotube, and it's got a nitrogen charge canister. I've got all the adjustments again, so compression, rebound, really cool, few clicks. You can dial yourself in, so I'm gonna feed this end up to the fingers we got waving up here.
Magic fingers.
Magic finger, so he'll zip the bolts up there. Then I can take my spring, and you can get these in, you can see the threads here, so you can get them in a coil over in the rear, or you can get a spring with an adjustable pad. So I just went with the spring here. That's gonna set in on the control arm. And I'll grab my little bolts here, run this guy through. Now, you can get the 5300 series like I've got with all the adjustments, or you can still get high performance monotube and all sorts of premium versions, but at different price points. You know, and they have them for everything from Mustangs, Corvettes, Subarus. So pretty much have everything out there in the performance world you need to kind of go out there and, you know, kick some butt.
Now we're working away, looking at the exhaust. Man, that's tight. That looks really good.
Yeah, that's like a liquid pour in there.
Man. Now, getting in some stainless V-band clamps to hold it, going into an X-pipe, catalytic converters, resonators all from MagnaFlow, stainless steel. Nice.
Yep, it's gonna last forever, it's gonna look great, and as we start to build this thing, we're going about sound quality. You know, I wanna get all this flow, so I got dual 3-inch. It's all mandrel bent, but I really want to put together, you know, a system, because, you know, it's an exhaust system. It's kind of like an orchestra. All these pieces are different parts of the band, and it's not always easy. You know, that's why it's great to be able to buy a kit that's been developed. I'm kind of having to wing it here and doing all the things that I know work, you know? Yeah, so I've got my cats here. We've got different versions. We've got high flow, 49 state. So I've got those as close as I can get them, and I've got resonators. Now here's what I started with, but I got to make some tight turns, so what I ended up doing is cutting about 6 inches out. Now, a resonator typically is just a little bit of an expansion, a little bit of absorption. I can take maybe a little bit of raspiness out, keep the pipe going straight out the back, and get all my sound brought down with some big volume. Expand that gas, let a lot of that energy escape, and then send it out the back. So we're going to show you some of my bag of tricks, because this wasn't easy. I really had to pull out all the stops here. So once we got to here and sectioned, I went oval. And what's even crazier is I went round to oval in the bend. Now, that wasn't easy to get done, but this is going to start fitting here, and you can see I had to make this turn sharp, so I couldn't transition to oval and then make the bend. So I've got just enough clearance here. I can get a heat shield. I've got my crossover tube for my 2 fuel tanks. And I've got to get enough space here to get proper shielding. We're going to run these guys and keep going out the back. So maybe I'll hold these up. Let me add a few more sections. We'll tack them all together.
Okay.
Hey, welcome to the break room. Now, nothing says car guy like the Hot Rod Grill. Yeah, check that out. That's a full scalable small block V8.
Man, for the man that has it all. It's got stainless steel grill inside, got stainless burners. Yep. Flip it open, throw some dogs, maybe some pork chops on the Barbie, and you got smoke coming out your zoomies, and all your neighbors are jealous.
Yeah, it's a nice way to grill. Makes you feel like you're working on something when you're just cooking a burger.
Hot Rod Grill. Now, the next up we've got is from Z-Cows. Now, this is a toolbox labeling system.
Yeah, it's a great way to organize all your tools. You're not hunting and chasing. And it's not just for you, because after a while, you probably know where your tools mostly are, but...
Honey, where's my screwdriver?
You know, maybe your kid, your buddy. You can just tell them, I need a screwdriver, and they look around, they see the picture, bang, there it is.
Screwdriver drawer. It's easy.
Imagine that.
Now, these come in a kit of 70, so you got all kinds of different tools covered no matter what. If you got a stainless toolbox, they also have a decal type. If you got steel, obviously, you can use the magnetic.
Yeah, it's great because you can move them around. If you change your mind what you want to put in different drawers, boop, bop, they're done.
It's a real time saver. That's cool. From Z-Cows. All right, next up is from Permatex. Now, this is their wheel restoration kit.
That's great. It comes with everything you need to fix those damaged wheels. You know, whether you've got some curb rash, scratches, corrosion, or rusting.
Yep.
You know, you got all the cleaners, you got the gloves, you got the sandpaper. You can scuff these things down, and
that little filler in there. Did you see that? A little filler, you know, let it dry, sand it off, clean it. You've also got your Duplicolor silver paint here, so you don't have to spend a lot of money on your wheels, you know, taking them to the powder coater, disassembling them, scuff it, clean it, prep it, shoot it with a little bit of silver, you're back on the road looking good.
Yeah, it's everything you need in one spot. It's the Permatex Wheel Restoration Kit.
Now, you gotta get back to work after we take a break right now, so stay tuned.
For more information about anything you've seen on today's show, check out speed.com or visit TwoGuysGarage.com.
All right, Brian, a few things I learned on this project. I've been working on it by myself for a long time on jack stands. It's great to have friends give you a hand, man. I appreciate all the help today.
No problem.
Friends are good.
I tell you, man, it looks cool. Looks great
Yeah.
to see it on the wheels. Yeah. And obviously, you know, it's a good idea to make sure before you do any fender work that your wheels fit perfectly. You got plenty of room. They go through the whole travel. So we can check that now, and now you can finish the tops of those
Yeah,
off.
I can blend these in
Get
nice.
the rear knocked out. So that's looking good, man. It sits nice. I mean, it's got an evil look. I mean, I like it.
It's gonna be fast. We got a lot done today.
I've got plenty of room up here.
Yeah, let's go forward. We got the whole engine trans all in. We got a lot of that MagnaFlow exhaust run through. Hats, resonators, and you saw those rusty rotors, really tiny. I think that's one of the next things I gotta do is upgrade those brakes. But I got a good
they're a little
start.
rusty.
Yeah, Bimmer World's hooked me up on all the performance stuff, so I got a brake duct kit, I got lines, I got performance belts, and I got a lot of stock stuff. So all my AC, HVAC stuff, ready.
And as a
Take this thing to the next level. So, other thing I learned, don't try this at home. Stay away, stay far away. Beamers are fun. Get yourself a newer model. There's tons of them out there. They're super cheap now, and they're ready to fly. Ready to bolt on a few parts and go, baby.
All right, there's a lot of cool stuff today. Hope you enjoyed it. Take care.
See you next time.